What about the Vice President's debate? Will it have much impact, if anything, in the swing states?
The easy answer as a political scientist is no. Vice presidential debates have not proven to be particularly important in the past. This election, though, is a challenge for the reason that we mentioned early in our discussion. With the race so close, a small surge that appeals to 10 or 20,000 voters in Nevada or in North Carolina could ultimately determine the election. So I think each of the vice presidential nominees, each of whom are good public speakers, will be trying to target some messages to specific parts of the electorate that they think they might be able to win over the next few weeks. If they're successful at that, we might not even be aware of it, but it could shift 10 or 20,000 votes, and that could determine the outcome of the election.
The Middle East is on a razor's edge, and of course, Joe Biden has come out this morning applauding the death of the leader of Hezbollah. How do you see what's happening in the Middle East play out with regards to the US election?
Oh, it played a very important role during the primaries. There was a significant share of traditional Democratic primary voters who refused to support President Biden in some key states in the primaries. In the general election, it's proven to be much less important. Vice President Harris has been able to articulate a message, calling for a two-state solution, calling for a ceasefire. And that seems, at least for the time being, to have calmed some dissenters on the Democratic side. Former President Trump has not been pressed to come up with his solution to what's going on in the Middle East, which is probably wise because I'm sure he doesn't have one. But so he's gotten a little bit of a free ride on those issues.
Standing next to Volodymyr Zelensky over the past few days, Donald Trump said it takes two to tango. It looked very uncomfortable, particularly for the Ukrainian leader. What did you make of all of that?
Well, I think Ukraine knows that if former President Trump becomes president again, they will be pressured to give up territory. And they're, at least at this stage, very unwilling to do that. President Trump thinks there is a simple solution, and that's to give in to Putin. Neither the Biden administration nor Zelensky and the Ukrainians are very supportive of that.
Many pollsters, experts, think that Donald Trump's going to lose this election, and part of their reason is because he hasn't found a way to target his opposition like he did with Joe Biden. It was brilliantly choreographed from many analysts' perspective with Joe Biden. He knew what he was going at. It really does seem, even from where we're watching, that he's missing his target with Kamala Harris.
Yeah, I think two things are going on. One is he doesn't understand Harris in a way that he had a sense of Clinton and certainly had a sense of Biden. So he hasn't found the message that's working. I think the second thing is he's a little bit off his game. His age is showing. He's not on the stump as often, and he's not able to test messages with his base that, many of which don't work initially, but he finds the one that does, and then he uses it over and over again. So he hasn't been as successful this time in coming up with a simple message. Comrade Kamala doesn't really do a good job. Calling her a Marxist really doesn't do a good job. So he hasn't found that message yet. He has 40 days, and he's been successful in the past, so that may change. But for now, he's playing the defense more than the offense, and he's not comfortable in that position.
Are you prepared to pick a winner yet?
Certainly not. As an avid reader of the polls and of the media, of course, I see a tide race, and as I think dangerous as that is, ultimately, that's where we are right now. We have another 40 days. I think the Democrats have done a better job with their ground game, recruiting new participants, but that we have yet to see whether that will work or not.
40 days doesn't seem a long time, but it could be an eternity when it comes to a US election. Lewis, thank you so much. We'll talk soon.
My pleasure, Tim.
And for more on the election, tune in Wednesday for the highly anticipated vice presidential debate between Republican VP nominee J.D. Vance and Democrat Tim Walz. We'll be simulcasting the CBS debate live from New York from 11 a.m.